Hello once again and welcome. As you just read, this is a Disability Law Show. John Scholes here along with the man, Sivan Tumarkin, giving you all the information and the insight you need. Reaching out, really simple, 1-855-821-5900, help@disabilityrights.ca. And there's another resource where you can questions and answers with a searchable database. Actually, it's pretty cool, called mydisabilityquestions.com. I can guarantee you we will refer to that sometime over the next half hour. And as well, Sivan, today, top 3 things you need to know that will reduce your anxiety when dealing with your long-term disability insurer. This is key information, so stick around for that. But first, as always, the week that was, pal. What do you got?
Very busy, very interesting week, John. Let me start off with, going back to COVID, since it's still all around us. This is interesting because I've spoken about this now, and I've read more and more articles and newspapers about this idea of Coronaphobia. I mean, people out there know what phobias are, right? Agoraphobia, there's all kind of phobias out there, right? I mean, it's essentially a fear, an intense fear that sometimes paralyzes an individual from doing anything, from going places, from functioning. And so I had a call this week from a mother who was fairly distraught because her 27-year-old daughter, who was a marketing executive making 6 figures, is essentially suffering from what now her psychiatrist has diagnosed as Coronaphobia. And it basically paralyzes her. She's unable to work. She's unable to go places. She's actually moved in back with her parents, even though she has an apartment, very nice apartment downtown Vancouver. And this lady, this 27-year-old lady, unfortunately has had issues before, psychological issues. She was already, you can say, in a precarious situation. She suffered from depression before, from various anxieties, and of course COVID, with all the lockdowns and everything else, and everything you hear in the news about the deaths here and the increase in cases there, this has taken a toll. And so she's disabled. So she applies for long-term disability and she gets rejected. She gets rejected because her insurance company doesn't recognize Coronaphobia as a valid disability. And so this 27-year-old lady doesn't know what to do. And that's why her mother reached out to me. And again, this goes back to something we've been talking about quite a lot, John, about the fact that the label doesn't matter. Yeah. The label is irrelevant, right? As long as you are suffering from a psychological or a physical or a combination of both, some kind of a disability that disables you, and it's confirmed by people who are treating you. In this case, this lady's psychiatrist has said that she suffers from this. As long as you have that medical backing and your doctors are saying you cannot work at this point in time because of these symptoms, well, guess what? The insurance company must pay you. They must pay you your long-term disability payments under the LTD policy. And I reviewed the letter from the psychiatrist in this case, and I reviewed the policy. And again, I am right. I don't often say that. My wife will tell you, John, that I often say I'm right, and she disagrees with some of the things I tell her that I'm right about. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, I know I'm right. I know I'm right because I've done this for many years. This is not something that's new to us. COVID is relatively new, relatively. Coronaphobia is relatively new, but this idea of insurance companies denying these claims for nonsense reason is not new. And it's not new, not only is it not new, but it's something that we get over each and every day. We deal with these claims. And what's mind-boggling to me is that in some of these instances, when we get involved, after a person's been denied LTD, and sometimes people appeal those denials over and over and get denied over and over, we get involved, and sometimes with a single letter to the insurance company from our office, the insurance companies back off. Their defense lawyers call us up and say, oops, we made a mistake. The adjuster was wrong. Yeah. What can we do to rectify the situation? So again, the message here is, do not let the insurance company get away with it. If they've denied your LTD claim or they're cutting you off and you know that you cannot work, and you got doctors on your side telling you cannot work, reach out to us. It costs nothing to get the proper advice from us. It doesn't take a long time. We do everything by phone, or if you want by Skype or WhatsApp or whatever other medium you want. We don't meet with people face to face now because of the lockdowns. But we can do all this, and we've been doing this across Ontario. We've been helping people in BC and now recently in Alberta. So please reach out to us. And kudos to that mother, John, that reached out. Oftentimes, it's not the person who's disabled that reaches out. It's some loved one who cares about them, or a good friend that sees us on TV or hears us on the radio and reaches out to us and puts us in touch with these individuals, and then we help them.
Another website we'll throw at you right now, pocketemploymentlawyer.ca. The name would describe it's about employment law, but there's a lot of crossover between both employment law and disability law. Sivan, you always talk about that. And there's actually a section in the website, pocketemploymentlawyer.ca, that will help you and describe some things dealing with disability law. So give me some details on it.
That's right. So Pocket Employment Lawyer, again, our firm does 2 areas of law. Those are our areas of practice. We don't do real estate, we don't do family, we don't do tax or any of that. We do employment law and we do long-term disability law. And so my partner, Lior Samfiru, that has the employment law show, came up with this idea. I'll give him credit. Came up with this idea to create a free website that can tailor its answers to people's questions when it comes to employment law issues. You've been let go from your job, you're having an issue with your employer, anything to do with employment, you want quick answers, you don't want to call a lawyer, for example, you don't want to email a lawyer, well, go to Pocket Employment Lawyer, that website, it's free, and you can get your answers. Well, guess what? Then I said to him, Lior, well, many people who are having employment issues are also on LTD and they're having issues with their insurance companies. And vice versa. People who are on LTD are having issues with their employer or have been let go. Why don't we have a section on that free website that deals with issues dealing with LTD? Right. And he said, that's a great idea. And so if you have any issues, any questions about your long-term disability claim, and for whatever reason you don't want to reach out to us, you want to try and get the answers yourself, go to Pocket Employment Lawyer, that website. You're gonna be able to get custom-tailored responses really to your LTD issues or employment issues or questions, and it doesn't cost anything. That's the beauty of it, and it's accurate. It's accurate, and you can get this information within seconds.
Again, pocketemploymentlawyer.ca. It's free, it's anonymous, but there's a contact button at the top right if you want to reach out to either Sivan or Lior. At that point, no problem. Disabilityrights.ca is the website for this show as well. There's links to find our radio shows across the country as well. Get lots of good calls on the show every week, Sivan. We talk to a ton of people called in. They want the information. They're hungry for it. We pluck some of the good ones out of the radio show and we play them back here, and I think we got our first phone call of the day coming up right now.
Type of breast cancer and have been off work for most of 2020, and I'm going to need to be off for 2021 as I'm continuing with radiation, oral chemo. I was denied long-term disability from my insurance company as they've indicated that it was a pre-existing condition.
We see this quite a lot, John. So, what a terrible situation. She's dealing with breast cancer. She's going to have to be off work. She is off work. Mm-hmm. No doubt her doctors, her oncologists, and other people probably have said that she's unable to work in the foreseeable future. And here you go with the insurance company coming up with another excuse not to pay. Pre-existing condition, that's something that we see quite often. And look, I'm not going to say that in every case the insurance company is wrong. That's not true. However, in many cases, the insurance companies are, they're scanning your medical files to find something, no matter how, remote or how irrelevant it is to your condition you're suffering from, and then they throw it in your face and they say, just because of that, we're not going to cover you. And again, you think you have no rights. You think that there's nothing you can do about that. Yes, you can. Yes, you have power to review the insurance company's decision. And I'm not talking about appealing that decision. Don't bother with the appeal process, because you know what? When they deny your claim, the end of that letter, there's going to be a paragraph or two that deal with appeals. They're going to say, you can give us more information, more documentation, and we'll reconsider our decision. Don't bother with that. If you get in touch with us, we're going to take a look at the denial letter. We'll take a look at the medical documents you're relying on to deny your claim. We'll take a look at the policy. And really, it's a legal analysis, and it doesn't take us a long time. And we'll figure out if they are correct or not. And if they're correct, we'll tell you they're correct. But at least you'll know, okay? You're not going to trust the insurance company's word for it. And so in this case, John, with this lady here, I'd like to see, exactly what it is that was pre-existing. I'd like to understand what is the actual basis for denial. What are they focusing on? What medical records are they latching on to deny this poor woman who's going through this terrible battle with breast cancer? And I can tell you, John, we've had cases where insurance companies have said, we're denying your claim on the basis of pre-existing conditions. And after we got involved, within 6 months, we resolved those claims for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So people need to understand that if you don't stand up for your rights, you are potentially leaving a ton of money that is owed to you in the insurance company's pockets.
Again, the radio show goes for an hour every week. You want to catch a market near you, a station where you can tune in. Disabilityrights.ca is the way to do that. Sivan, we'll take a short break, brother, but I want to get to this, what we mentioned off the top. 3 ways you need to know to reduce the stress and anxiety when dealing with an LTD insurer. That is on the way. This is the Disability Law Show. Stick around. People think their employer can make changes to their job. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Your employer can't change your pay, hours, or duties. You may be entitled to full severance pay. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Can insurance companies deny long-term disability claims for mental illness?
When you're suffering from a mental health disability, insurance companies just don't understand. But we do.
They can absolutely not force you back to work. If your doctors say you are not ready and you know you're not ready, they cannot make you go back to work.
If you have a mental health disability and your claim is denied, don't give up. Give us a call and let us fight for you.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think you should go to the government to get severance pay. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Government can only help you get minimum severance, but not everything you're entitled to. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. All right, thanks for hanging in. Back to the Disability Law Show. John Scholes, Sivan Tumarkin. Now we want to discuss these 3 things that will help reduce your anxiety when dealing with your LTD insurer. Number 1 is this, Sivan. Ask for a copy of your LTD policy and make sure you ask questions about it with your adjuster. Know that file.
Yeah, you got to do that. I mean, you have a right to the policy, and it doesn't matter if the policy is something that your employer had obtained. In other words, if you have coverage through work, through your health benefits, or if it's a personal policy that you had purchased, you are entitled to that policy because the relationship is between you as the claimant, as the insured, and the insurance company. And the reason I say to people that you should get a copy of the policy is because, you know, when the insurance company, when the adjuster tells you something, whether they're telling you to go to an assessment or they're telling you that you got to do this test or that assessment or whatever it is they're telling you, you have a right to say, show me where in the policy it says that. And if you don't have a copy of that policy, you can't read the provisions yourself. And by looking at the policy, you can figure out exactly what the insurance company's rights and obligations are. And conversely, you can figure out what your rights and obligations are under the policy. Remember, this is a contract. The insurance company has to pay you under that contract, and the insurance company has to treat you in a certain way, and they're entitled to certain things under that contract. So get a copy of that policy, even when you just get accepted for LTD, even if there's nothing wrong going on. Make sure you have it. Make sure you get it, you look through it, and if the insurance company, if the adjuster tells you something that doesn't make sense to you, ask them to point you to where it says that in the policy. And if you have any questions after that, ask them. And if you don't get proper answers, then ask us, and we'll review your policy and talk to you about it.
Point number 2, reducing that stress and anxiety dealing with that insurer. You want to regularly speak to your doctor and ask, make sure at least they're fully aware about all your treatments and how the policy is going and your treatments, disability, all that stuff. Just keep in contact with your medical team, right?
So that's really important because some people, you know, when they're suffering from a mental health illness or if they're suffering from a physical disability, they often say to me, look, I mean, what's the point of me going to my doctor? They can't do anything, right? I keep doing my home exercises. I get whatever, you know, over-the-counter pills I can get. Nothing I can do about that. But here's the thing. If you go to your doctor or see your doctor virtually even, on a regular basis and you update them, their clinical notes and records reflect your discussions with them. So if you have, for example, a case, John, where you have somebody who's suffering from fibromyalgia, and that person doesn't see their doctor in person or virtually for a year, versus a situation where a person sees their doctor once a month for updates, you know, to see if there's any new treatments, to provide an update on the treatment recommendations that the doctor has provided, etc. Well, guess what? If down the road there is a problem with the insurance company and we get a copy of the doctor's file, it's going to show that this person was engaged with their doctors. It's going to show that this person really tried to do whatever they can, whatever they could, to get better. And conversely, it's going to make your doctor more comfortable in providing a report to the insurance company about the fact that you have been trying to get better. You've been following recommendations. You've been doing everything you could possibly do to manage your symptoms and to try to get back to work. And so having the doctor on your side and making sure that it looks like, okay, not just practically speaking, but it actually looks like, you've been doing everything you can and keeping your doctors updated, it's going to go a long way in persuading the insurance company, or forcing them, I would say, to pay you what you're owed. And if at some point, for whatever reason, they cut you off or deny your claim, well, guess what? When we get involved, this is going to give us ammunition. We're going to go to those clinical notes and records. We're going to, deal with your doctors, get the reports we need. And because you've been keeping up with your doctors and speaking with them, it's going to make things that much easier to actually pressure the insurance company or force them legally to pay you what you're owed.
And that's kind of the third point when dealing with anxiety with your LTD insurer, Sivan, and that is knowing that if you're denied or cut off for your claim, that you guys will be there to walk you through it and answer all your questions. And if need be, you'll take it up with the insurance company and fight on your behalf. Yeah,
John, I often say to people, I joke around to make them feel better, that we are the safety net to what was supposed to be their safety net. So what was supposed to be their safety net is this LTD insurer that got paid premiums for essentially nothing, because these insurance companies often deny claims when they shouldn't. Mm-hmm. If they did their job, they would be in fact paying these individuals their income replacement benefits under those policies in the event that these people can't work. But what happens is, because these people are denied claims, they come to us, and then we are the ultimate insurance policy, in that we ultimately can get the insurance company to pay you what you're owed. But there is a side benefit here, and you and I have talked about this quite often, John, which is this. When I do a consultation with an individual that's been denied LTD, I can do it for an hour, 2 hours, however long the person needs, and I can tell them how much money they're owed, what we're going to do for them, et cetera, et cetera. Most of the time, what they hear or what they're left with is that we'll take care of things, we'll make sure things are going to be okay, we're going to put the train back on the rails, and we're going to assume all the communications with the insurance company. If we get involved and we start that legal process and we represent this person because they've been denied unjustly, guess what? This person does not have to speak with the adjuster anymore. It's us who are taking over all the communications with the insurance company. They got to go through us. And trust me, as much as you didn't like speaking with them, they don't like speaking with us. So don't be afraid. Stand up for your rights. And if you have any questions, you come to us. Because if they owe you money and they're not paying you, we'll make sure that they do.
We'll take a short break, Sivan, but coming up this scenario, the insurance company is cutting on my benefits, but I can't return to work yet because I'm not better yet. What do I have to do? We'll tackle that. The number in the meantime, 1-855-821-5900, and the website disabilityrights.ca. We'll continue more of the disability law shows on the way.
People think you have to sign back a severance offer by a deadline. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Deadlines are used as a pressure tactic. Make sure the offer is fair before you sign. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. If your long-term disability claim is denied, should you appeal?
Appeals often fail because insurance companies control the process. So long as you appeal, you're playing by their rules.
You should never appeal the denial of your disability benefits. Appeals are just a mirage of false hope.
Don't. That's their process. Take it out of their hands and fight for your rights with our help.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think contractors aren't owed severance. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Many contractors are actually employees and are entitled to full severance pay. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca.
All right, we're back. Disability Law Show. Thanks for sticking around. I mentioned this website once already. We talked about it once, but we'll get right into the meat of it. MyDisabilityQuestions.com. That website right there. You can ask your disability law questions. You can leave them there, or there's also a searchable database, which means you can go through questions that are similar to yours that have been answered in the past. It might help you out and save you some time. If not, leave it there. Sivan and his team will get to it. First one for the show today, pal, comes from Arjun. Arjun says, I'm 58 and have been on long-term disability benefits for nearly a year after my body gave out and I was forced to get knee replacement surgery.
My doctor recently said I could only work for 12 hours a week, but the insurance company is now telling me that they are cutting off my benefits. My boss will not let me go back to work until I am 100%. At my age, is it worth fighting the insurance company for disability benefits? He's 58.
Well, John, again, this ties back to pocket employment lawyer, right? I mean, Arjun here is dealing with both an employment issue and an LTD issue. And, you know, let me address this straight on. Insurance companies not only deny claims unjustly, these LTD claims, oftentimes they jump the gun. Here you have a person who is trying to go back to work. He's doing all the right things. His doctor is trying to set him back, okay, back on track. Told him you can work 12 hours a week, up to 12 hours a week. But that's not enough, right? Because of course the employer, I don't know who the employer is here, but you know, an employer has a duty to accommodate. But if the employer says, listen, we can't have you back unless you're 100%, we can look at that. But the reality is, if he can only work 12 hours a week and he had a full-time job before, well, the insurance company must continue paying him.
Yeah.
They must continue paying him. And for them to just cut off his benefits just like that, now he's stuck. He doesn't have a full-time job and he doesn't have the benefits. So, you know, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And we see this time and time again. People who are not trying to game the system, they're hard workers. They've worked all their lives. They paid into these policies, or the employers paid into these policies. And here you have a person where the doctor says you can do up to X amount at this point, not forever, but up to this point, up to 12 hours a week. And then the insurance company uses that against him. Completely unfair, completely unjust. And let me tell you, John, we can get involved here, okay? We can force the insurance company to pay him what he's owed. Now, I don't know if that means they'll reinstate his LTD or they're going to want to come and negotiate a lump sum basis. Whatever it is, trust me, we can help Arjun. We've helped many individuals in his situation. Again, when the insurance company cuts you off benefits prematurely, don't let them do that. Don't play their game. This is when you contact us. And again, we'll have a conversation. It won't take more than a few minutes, okay, as long as you need. But really, we can assess these kinds of claims fairly quickly. And we'll tell you. If you have a case, we'll tell you that. If you don't have a case, we'll tell you that too. But then you'll know. That's my point. Knowledge is power. Just remember that.
help@disabilityrights.ca. That's the email address. Another way for you to reach out to Sivan and his crew. Want to get to Reggie's email. Reggie says, I worked in the lumber industry for nearly 40 years. I've been struggling with my health since my son died last year, and my wife became extremely ill. I also suffered a heart attack and haven't worked since. I was denied LTD as the insurance company said that their doctor reviewed my claim and said because my job was sedentary, I could work. Is this right?
What a bunch of nonsense. This is the kind of crap that I hear from insurance companies all the time. And you know, it annoys me and it makes me angry because you have individuals, again, who suffer these heartbreaking tragedies. And again, they assume that if something happens, the insurance company will be there for them, that there's going to be this safety net. And nothing can be further than the truth. Remember, I used to have a mentor, somebody, a senior lawyer years ago, who said to me, an insurance policy, whether it's an LTD policy or a car insurance policy or a house insurance policy or a travel insurance policy, you're not buying a friend with a purchase of one of these policies. You are buying a legal right. And so when the insurance company doesn't hold up to their obligations, they don't do what they're supposed to under the policy, remember that you have that legal right. You bought that legal right. Even if it's through your health benefits through work, your employer bought that legal right for you. You have the ability, if you so wish, to get the insurance company to pay you. It's just that you have to take the first step. And John, oftentimes the first step is reaching out to us. This gentleman here is owed money. I am telling you, he is owed money. And we can get that money for him. Not just us. There are other good lawyers out there, I have to say. But it's imperative that he gets the right advice. And again, we have lawyers in Ontario, in BC, in Alberta. Okay? We do this day in and day out. We deal with all the major insurance companies in the country. They know us. They also know that when we handle a claim, it's a valid claim. It's not on behalf of people who are gaming the system. Reputation is very important to us. In a case like this, I can tell you that I would be going not only after the benefits owed to him by the policy, I would probably go after the insurance company here, potentially for punitive damages. I would want to punish the insurance company for their conduct because this is inappropriate, it's unjust, and it's illegal. And again, that's what we do. And it's not difficult to do, by the way. As soon as we get involved, they get their defense lawyers involved. Now, we're talking. Now we're talking. The individual that we represent doesn't have to do much, really. Let us do the talking. Let us do the heavy lifting here on your behalf. You focus on getting better. We will help, okay?
MyDisabilityQuestions.com. I want to flip back to that in our last couple minutes here, Sivan. This is Kira. Says, what happens if I miss the insurance company's deadline to appeal a denial of my long-term disability claim? I know you love this.
Don't worry about it.
Right.
Don't worry about it. These appeal deadlines are absolutely nonsense.
Yep.
Okay, they're arbitrary deadlines. The one deadline you have to be cognizant of and be aware of is the 2-year mark from the date you were first denied your LTD or the date you were cut off your LTD, because that is the deadline in Alberta, in British Columbia, and in Ontario to start legal claims against the insurance company. And John, because of this show, we get people contacting us who've been denied 6 years ago. I can't help you, okay? The law doesn't allow me. But you have to understand that as long as you're within that 2-year period, we can help you. And it's not difficult. It really is not. Just reach out to us. We'll have a conversation. It won't cost anything. And at least you'll know what your rights are.
And skip that appeal thing. Don't start going down that road.
Skip it. Do not waste your time. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get more. You're going to go more in the hole, right? I got people who contact me who've been cut off 2 years ago. And as soon as we get involved, within a few weeks or a few months, we get them the money they're owed. They could have done that 2 years ago when they were first denied. So don't play those games that the insurance company wants you to play. Don't go through these appeals. They're useless. They're absolutely. They're basically a way to just have you go around the neighborhood a bit for a few times. They get you absolute nowhere. And at the end, when you come to us and we tell you what your options are, and this happens all the time, John. People are just amazed and they're disappointed themselves for not coming to us in the first place, because it is really that simple for us to help people.
Plus, there's no hard proof that, after that clock starts ticking with that 2-year deadline, that the appeals reset the clock. If you're going through this 3 or 4 or 5 times, the months are ticking down, right? Yeah,
and this is important. Some people think that if they appeal the decision and appeal 2-3 times and a year has passed, now they have 2 more years. No. There are some exceptions. I'm not going to go into them right now. We can do a whole show on these exceptions. But the reality is, if you're denied LTD or you're cut off, you should reach out to us immediately. And you know what? Even if after speaking with us, you still want to engage in the appeal process, that's your decision. It's your prerogative. But at least you'll have the information you need. And maybe we could help you potentially with that appeal, even though I don't like to go through these appeals, because I know that they're useless, because you're re-asking the same people who denied you in the first place to reconsider their decision. But it's your decision. At least let us help you. Let us give you the information you need, bounce ideas off each other, okay? We can look at your documentation and tell you, how strong your case is and whether or not it makes sense for you to go after the insurance company. And John, not in every case we tell people they have a case. Not in every case the insurance company is wrong. But in the vast majority of cases, in the vast majority of conversations I have had with people, I can tell you I've told people they have rights that have been breached, and we get money for them, the money that they're owed.
Last minutes for you, pal. Final thoughts before we wrap up.
I want to focus again about power. This idea that you have no power against your insurance company. Again, it's a mirage. It is completely false. Okay? It's like the Matrix, right? They want to keep you subdued. They want you to think that they have complete and utter power over you. They don't. The only way they have that power over you is if you give them that power. If you don't stand up for your rights, if you don't, take your rights and enforce them, well, yeah, then the insurance company does have that power, but it's because you've given it to them. So don't back down. If you're denied your claim, if you've suffered anything by insurance companies, do not simply walk away from the rights you're owed. Get the information you need. If you don't call us, at least go to the website, disabilityrights.ca. Get the information you need and deserve. That's all.
A lot of stuff covered in the last 30 minutes. For sure, you want to reach out and get more. A 60-minute version on radio. Disabilityrights.ca is the website to catch a station near you. MyDisabilityQuestions.com is the answers and questions website. And the phone number as well, 1-855-821-5900. Lots of info. Appreciate you sticking around. We'll catch you next time on the Disability Law Show.